Welcome, Summit viewers. I'm Heather McCutcheon, and I am delighted to be here with Rose A. Weinberg. Rose is a multi-talented individual with a diverse range of expertise. She's a holistically mainstream wellness sage, author, inspirational speaker, international Reiki master educator, homeopath, and holistic nutritionist with extensive training in everything energy. Additionally, she holds diplomas in graphic design and HR management, in addition to degrees in business and marketing. Rose is a true visionary. She guides individuals to find their wellness and happy from personal, professional, and spiritual perspectives beyond the traditional boundaries of a treatment room. Rose extends her compassion and healing skills to our furry family members by offering specialized Reiki treatments for dogs. Whether virtually or in person, Rose offers Reiki sessions to ensure our canine companions receive its profound benefits. As founder and chair of BeamOn, Rose is passionate about giving back through this charitable organization. BeamOn donates Reiki-attuned blankets made from Canadian milled organic cotton to those affected by cancer and their loved ones. Over the past 13 years, more than 2,900 Reiki blankets have been donated worldwide. Beyond her professional and charitable endeavors, Rose cherishes her roles as a fulfilled wife, mom, bubby, or grandma, dog mom, and dog bubby. She's a devoted student of universal energy and martial arts, and Rose is here today to talk to us about how Reiki is the advantage. Welcome to the Summit, Rose.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and meet you, Heather, and be part of the Reiki Summit. This is really exciting. Thank you.
Yes, we are thrilled to have you. And let's start out, since this is your first time with the Summit, can you just tell us a little bit about you? Who is Rose A. Weinberg?
Who is Rose A. Weinberg? Well, I deem myself as a holistically mainstream sage or wellness sage. And that's been a development over the last 35 years as I've gotten into the holistic world. But why I love the blend of being holistic and mainstream, because I live in the real world. I've been married for 44 years. I got grown-up kids. I got grandkids. I got the dogs. I live in a nice neighborhood. I love everything that's about living in this world. I never wanted to move to Tibet and living on a mountaintop. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It wasn't a choice for me. But as I grew into the holistic world of everything within what I eat and how I think and all my meditations and all the work that I do, I've figured that the blend, it's okay to share that I love both. So it's like the perfect blend in life, being holistic inside, around me, and also being a part of the bigger picture of the mainstream world.
Yeah, you know what? That's also the perfect positioning to be able to share it with other people. Because if you're sitting in a yurt in Tibet, I don't know if they have yurts there, but that word came to mind.
Yeah.
You're not interacting with any other people. How are
No.
you sharing it with them? So
exactly.
I love
Everything would be distant, right? So here
that's right.
Yeah, no, that's great.
That's
yeah,
right.
It's exciting to be at this level where I am in my life and really be able to share it on so many levels, even if it's just a hi to someone as I'm walking the dog in the morning or doing a treatment on someone. It's all the same blend.
Mm-hmm. So what is your, how did you come into Reiki?
So it's an interesting story, as everybody has their story. I suffered from panic attacks from the time I was a teenager into my 20s, into my 30s. By the time I was 31, I had 2 little kids, a husband of 10 years, a great Bouvier dog, and I was like living in this darkness of energy of just panic all the time. Yet I was working, ran my own business, took care of everybody. And at one point I ran into a lady, before that, I actually decided I need to get rid of this fear inside me, this anger inside me, and this fear inside me. And so I decided to start doing martial arts, which I've always had a visual love for, but I never physically did it. So I joined a karate studio and then took my husband and my kids and we all started. And it actually helped. But what I became is a really good blocker. So my arms were filled with bruises. And one of my neighbors, a newer person that I had recently met, she saw them and I found out she was a cancer survivor and she also saw a homeopath. I didn't know what that was. So she gave me something called arnica and I took it. And the next day, the bruises were gone. So I went back to her, read the book on that, went to see the person she was seeing. After I was seeing him, he was doing some interesting energy work. He introduced me to someone who was doing facials. So I went to see this person, and I went in there and I laid down. I said, you have about 7 minutes to do what you got to do, because I don't lie down very long or sit very long, and I'm always in a panic state. She said, may I do some Reiki on you? And I go, I don't know what it is, but I'm here, right? And she put her hands on my shoulders, and all of a sudden, I'm relaxed. She said, take a breath. And I'm relaxed and taking a breath. She did the facial. She did the Reiki. And I'm like, whoa. And I left there going something like, I felt like so different, right? So from there, I started reading about everything. And then she offered me to learn Reiki level 1 for myself. And I said, no, thank you. Too much responsibility. That was my answer. I know. Who knew I was so intuitive to be who I am today, right? So about 2 weeks later, after reading a book on it, I called her and I said, I'm ready to learn. So that's the journey started with Reiki. And then from that, I went back to school part-time, became a homeopath, a nutritionist, acupuncturist, and all these, anything and everything that I could learn all the time while I was working, building my graphics business and taking care of the kids and the husband, raising the husband, you know. And everything just started to fall into place, and you start feeling better and better and better. And the anxiety and the panics were better and better and less. And then I started my practice. So I've been into it now professionally for about 25 years. And I saw the beginning of it, where you didn't talk about Reiki at a dinner table, right? I was in the beginning of all that, and now it's in hospitals and it's everywhere. So that's my story of how I got to now with Reiki. And I just delved into it as much as I could. And really built upon not just the practice for others. I learned it basically for myself, for my kids, the dog, the husband, and then it expanded into others. And then I started, became a Reiki master and started teaching, learned how to teach. And that's here we are today. And I'm so blessed to be here.
Yeah, I'm so impressed with the diverse range of modalities that you incorporate into your offerings. That's a really wide swath of practices.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, part of it was what interested me to bring into our family life and our lifestyle. And then was it right to bring out to others and offer it to others? So first I tested everything, and the kids got tested on everything, right? We take remedies, we did everything. And then when I saw improvements, especially me, I won't sit in my I call it my professional chair unless I'm feeling that I can offer all of me to the person that needs, that support. So I wanted to do everything. Now, not everybody's going to delve into it the way I do, right? Or especially into Reiki, that it's part of anything and everything I do. But there's ways to bring it into your life, which we'll expand on that, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so you are an international Reiki master and teacher. Are you traveling or are you teaching remotely? Can you talk a little bit about that experience?
Absolutely. So a little bit of both. I haven't traveled in a little bit, but I have traveled in areas of the United States, in South America, in Europe, and I've gone, especially in the States, to different locations where I've talked about BeamOn, which we'll talk about after, which is now my charity of choice and what I'm the founder of. But I also went and talked about Reiki, like introduction to Reiki, and then you do a little Reiki on everybody that's there in the audience. In South America, I was doing some Reiki sessions. I was asked to do them on a beach, which was really cool. I've done them in Sweden. I've done them in, Panama, all different areas. So they've asked me, when they find out what I do, they either ask me to come, or when I'm there, I'm asked to come and speak to a smaller audience. And I would like to expand on that at one point, because the last few years, I haven't done much of it. I did a little bit in Panama, but I haven't done much of it. So that's something that's on the horizon. Okay. And virtual, absolutely. I got some great ideas for some virtual events coming up.
Okay. Yeah, they're becoming more and more popular. Summit, case in
Absolutely.
point.
A case in point. And by the time this is aired, absolutely there'll be some great offerings for that.
Okay. And so the name of your talk, Reiki is the advantage. I could not agree more. Reiki is a tremendous advantage for those of us who find it and embrace it. Can you talk a little bit about your thoughts and your vision, and how you inspire others to embrace this advantage for themselves?
Absolutely. It's a great, so yes, you get this. And a lot of people obviously get that Reiki is the advantage. And why I say it's not an advantage, it's the advantage, is because once you're attuned to it, you can apply it to anything and everything you do. And you don't even have to think about applying it. It's just there, right? It's like way woo way. It's just doing without doing. Reiki is part of us. Now, when someone's learning level 1 and maybe level 2, and even to the level of master, are they thinking, do I got it? Can I do it? Can I share it? What do I need to do? I know when I started, it was like, and I teach, rub your hands together and feel the energy. And so, we go out of our head into our heart and we do everything. But once you really understand, embrace, and it's bigger than trust. And bigger than belief. It's just, and it's knowing. It's just knowing it's there for anything you do. When you're cooking, when you're hugging somebody, shaking someone's hand, doing your gardening, petting your dog, all of a sudden I can do Reiki on myself at any given time. I can offer it to you, to anybody, anywhere in the world. It's such an advantage. So one of my favorite things that just recently happened, I'm in the dojo. By the way, I do 4 nights a week, 1 night a week of Goju Japanese karate, and 3 nights a week of Japanese jiu-jitsu. Okay. So I'm
Wow.
in the dojo and I'm being flipped by a 14-year-old, which was awesome. But then I felt my wrist feel a little off for the moment. And we were stopped for part of the lesson. The sensei was talking to us. And I'm looking around the room and I go, well, if anybody here is in pain, they're going to be in pain. I'm in pain right now. So I will apply Reiki while the sensei is teaching. And I just sat here like this. And within, I don't know how short a time, pain was gone and I was ready to be thrown again. And I'm thinking, I got to share this at the Reiki Summit because it's brilliant. People going to the dentist. So long time ago, but I was already a Reiki master, had to have a root canal, first time ever, hopefully never again. I did not have freezing. I applied Reiki. And anytime I go to the dentist, if there's anything they're putting in my mouth, I say, can you please just put it under my hand, your utensils, your instruments, and I apply Reiki, and then they can enter my mouth. And I love
And
that.
what is their reaction to you asking for that?
Well, shock. And then I said, do you want me to sign something? And the dentist said, no, that's okay. I do know a little bit about Reiki, so I'm okay with that. And we went ahead. I said, so we had a system. I have a system with any dentist. They'll ask me how I'm doing, my thumbs up. If for some reason I do this, they got to stop, right? And then I take a moment. But normally I'm totally in the Reiki energy and I feel great. Isn't that cool? So that's a huge advantage. If you think about it, where we can apply it and how we can apply it, and that it's just there all the time, right? All the time. A quick thing from the way back when I suffered still from panic attacks, but I had learned Reiki because that was the first thing that I actually learned in the holistic world for myself. I'd sit in a dinner party and I'd feel really panicky and I'd place my hands on my thighs and I would just kind of rub the thighs and I'd feel the Reiki coming through and I'd feel calmer. And then I could put it on my abdomen. Nobody knew what I was doing. Nobody really cared either, right? As long as we were all having a good time, but I felt better. What an advantage.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to agree with you. I have long thought that the dentist's office is just a natural for Reiki because it panics almost everybody. Very few people are very calm and content throughout their dentist visit.
Exactly, right? Exactly. Well, I actually thought of that at one point years back to approach dentist's office to bring in that they all should learn it, right? Even hairdressers, anybody, wherever you are, if you go into any type of, the other thing is about why it's the advantage. There's mostly no other modality that covers physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. But Reiki does.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And from someone who's learned in a few different things, I know that this can cover this. I mean, homeopathy can cover it all, but you have to have the remedy on you. You have to go to get the remedy. So now here's the thing. Well, what if someone says, or listening to this, well, I don't know any levels of Reiki, so how is it an advantage to me? Well, that's easy. Once you find a Reiki master that can help you, a Reiki practitioner that can help you, you can either text, call, whatever, and they can send distant Reiki to you. It's not the same as me doing it on myself instantly, but however, you can learn it.
Yeah.
Anybody can learn it.
Yeah.
Right? It's the number one choice to learn.
I agree.
Now, I know you do. I know you do. But it excites me the more that I see, the more I've developed in how I teach it as well, because I'll teach it the traditional and the story and the whole traditional way of teaching. But then right away, I know my audience who I'm teaching to, and I find out what they do and how I can help them. You could do this here. You could do this here. You could do this here. Right? And that's kind of been my niche.
And everyone can benefit from it, regardless of what they do for a living. But yeah, I like at the beginning of class to ask, what do you do for a living and what brought you here? And then I'm finding I'm teaching more and more psychotherapists Reiki, which is phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Yes. But, whoever you are, whatever your contacts are, wherever you end up getting your students from, they might be people who all go bowling, whatever, but it can benefit everyone. So.
It can benefit everyone. And that's the other thing, you can add it to any type of professional work that you do, right? Yeah. Anything you do. And again, myself, I've also taught many, many, many different types of practitioners, medical doctors, nurses, PSWs, because even if it's not for their clientele, it can be for themselves, right? It's a long day after helping people, right? And giving of yourself. It's a long day.
Self-care is a big, big topic for those professions where burnout is so high.
Yes.
It's rough. It's rough talking to people who are having a very hard time day in and day out. Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's a great give back. And there's the, and we could talk forever about the advantage, because all it is our stories of what we've done, how we've done it, and what we're about to do. Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's exciting.
Our fandom.
Our fandom. Yes.
So I want to hear about this BeamOn project. You are the founder and chair of the BeamOn project. Tell us about that.
Okay. So it started as Project BeamOn. And how it all started was in California, 2011. I'm visiting my dear cousin, Ruth, who is actually my second cousin, my mom's first cousin. And she was going through second treatment of cancer. So I went out to help with the family. I loved them dearly, and I was just part of their life. So I flew out there to help out. And one early morning, I'm up because time change, right? I'm up early, and I see she had this lovely full green blanket that she was taking with for her radiation treatments. Her daughter had bought her. She was just starting the treatment, so I really just came in at the right time. And I looked at it, and all of a sudden I did my little morning meditation, whatever that looked like at that time. And I got inspired to place my hands on the blanket and do an attunement. And I didn't question. I just did it. And then we're leaving for the hospital for her treatment. And I said, Ruth, don't forget your blanket. She said, oh, I can't forget my blanket. So we take it. And she has her treatment, and I'm there. And I'm just thinking, I'm also was doing a little bit of distant Reiki for her, but mostly just sort of beaming her with, good energy while she was having her radiation. And that afternoon, she said to me, Rosie, did you do something to my blanket? And I introduced Reiki to her at that time. Like I did a little Reiki on her. So she kind of knew the difference of feeling agitated to feeling that peacefulness. And I said, well, as a matter of fact, I did. And she said, I just felt the minute it went on top of me, and before the treatment started, I right away felt peace and calm. And I felt this comforting feeling. So I thought, well, that's cool, right? That was like, what a blessing. So I do the trip. I come home, and I'm telling my family, and I said, maybe everybody who is going through cancer should have a Reiki blanket. And we just started it. That started teaching some more people and building like a little bit of a community with it. And so the first, we called it Project BeamOn. And then what happened about 4 years ago, so we have this great group of directors, and we decided to go become a nonprofit at like about 2 years in, right? It was all working really well. We decided to become a nonprofit. So we started doing a gala to raise some funding. So we have a board of directors. And then about 4 years ago, we talked about trying to get a charity number here in Canada, right? And then, of course, pandemic starts, but we're already in the process of it. So we kind of slowed it down. But September 1st, 2022, we became a registered Canadian charity, which I find huge because, again, that's holistic mainstream. We have these gorgeous, organic, as you mentioned in my bio, organic cotton blankets. They're attuned to Reiki. They're handed to someone going through such a mainstream, horrible illness, and they get to feel peace, comfort, and love, not just from our community, but from the Reiki that's within the blanket. And it's just been 2,900 blankets, probably more, because sometimes I'm just handing them out. Not always, you can go through the website to order one and have it shipped. And we've shipped to every continent. We've shipped to every continent, all walks of life and all people that have been in need. It also becomes, you hear someone that you love or you care about, work with, doesn't matter, family member, doesn't matter, being diagnosed, and you don't know what to do.
Right.
Flowers, chocolate, not healthy, although there are some, still good. But the blanket is forever. It's the gift forever, and it's the forever hug. So during the pandemic, I was shipped because I do the shipping. So we shipped through Canada Post, and there was many people who requested blankets, and because they couldn't see their loved ones, so I had to ship them out in a certain way to make sure that they arrived, whether they were in hospital or home. Mostly they have to be shipped to a home address. And people were saying the feedback from everybody was that it was like giving them a hug because they couldn't see anybody. So brilliant. It was just unbelievable. And every time I ship out a blanket, it's like, more energy going out. And at times I go into meditation and I send energy to all the blankets out there. I recharge them.
Well, that's
right?
Beautiful. I have questions. I love the forever hug. I love that. But way back at the beginning, when your first friend with the green blanket, you attuned the blanket rather than just offering it Reiki.
No, I attuned. All these are attuned.
Right. So tell me about that decision, because I don't know that I would jump to that right away. I think I would just be channeling Reiki, and you jump to attuning it. So talk a little bit about that.
I'm so glad you asked. The whole idea was, I love this woman so much, and I was going home after a week. I can't stay with her. I can't do Reiki on her all the time from a distance, but the blanket can. So it was like, here's a piece of Rosie, but really it's Reiki, right? And she really got that. She was very intuitive, very spiritual, just an absolute loving woman who actually just passed this year. And she really got that. So she did really well. She beat that, cancer, and she lived a fantastic life. And at 93, she passed this year. And I actually connect to her every single day. So that was the whole idea. I can't be everywhere. I was thinking about, you open a practice or you're teaching people, but you can't teach everybody. So there's people that have Reiki blankets. I'll never know them. Some I know, of course, but now they have something from the energy that I've created to help them do anything. And the interesting thing is there's now Reiki blankets that are kind of third generation, I'm calling. I'm thinking of what are we going to call this, where maybe the person has passed and then the spouse takes on the blanket or one of the kids take on the blanket and they're using it. Right?
And to help them with the grief from the passing of the loved one.
Exactly.
That's lovely.
It's an advantage, the advantage, right?
So how are you connecting with all of these people that are purchasing these blankets? How is this happening?
Okay, so the beginning was word of mouth, and now we do a little bit of social media. Well, we try to do a little more than just a little. We do a gala once a year. So we've been doing a gala now. I think this is our 11th year doing a gala. Like, it's a dress up gala, great night. And everybody on the board, we have a wonderful group of volunteers. We invite people. They come, we get some corporate sponsors and everybody there. And usually we have blankets available. So people that are new might take it to someone that they just heard was diagnosed. Maybe some that had it, went through treatment 2 years ago. We still give them out. They don't have to just be in treatment, right? We still, so what we do is we raise the funds and then we donate the blankets. And if someone requests a blanket, and they want to donate back to us, God bless. Like that really is helpful. We obviously need the funding because they're very expensive blankets, and there's only one supplier in Canada I can get these from. And I wanted it to be local, right? So we do word of mouth everywhere I go. I let people know. And again, so does all the people that have been part of the project from the beginning, but all the new people coming on board. I get emails all the time for requests, and then I put out what's on here is a really cool little marketing card. So here's my marketing background. When I get the request, they can put a little, like a loving little note to their loved one. And so I handwrite it. And then there's a whole blurb on BeamOn about the blanket and what it is. And I wanted everything sustainable because you're giving them something that's going to, not just the Reiki, but something that's healthy within, their environment. So now the blanket goes into cars. So Reiki's in the cars, Reiki's on a train, Reiki's on a plane, Reiki's at the hospital, Reiki's everywhere, in your home, on your couch, right?
That's great. So is it, you started out with folks undergoing cancer treatment, but has it branched out, or is it still primarily the cancer focus?
So technically we're going to branch out. We haven't quite yet. It's going to be the comfort items for others. And what we're working on right now is that people could purchase the blankets and then we ship them out. And also for our next gala, which will be in November 29th, I believe, we'll have blankets for sale as well for others. And then we have the ones that we'll donate. It's the same blanket. However, I've created a different attunement for something, for other, whether it's an illness, but technically the physical and the mental energy of the low vibration of any illness is kind of the same, right? Anxiety is anxiety and everybody deals with it differently. A very interesting story. One of our board members is a medical doctor, and he requested a blanket for a family, local family. The child was ready, kind of in the last stages of life, and the parents, there was some sort of non-beneficial energies happening. Everybody was totally distressed, and he wanted a blanket for the little girl. So he asked me, and I hand delivered it. I didn't knock on their door, but I went over there, and he said there was so much distress, especially from the father. He was distraught, right? Rightfully so. That there was arguments and things going on, not to the child, but just in general. Anyways, and the doctor was the palliative doctor on care. So I went over and we have these really nice bags, and I just put it at the door and I stood back, and I also did some distant Reiki, and I left the blanket there. And he got a call maybe an hour later. And before I knew what happened, he texted me and he said, "Rose, were you at the house?" I go, "Yeah, I dropped off the blanket." He said, "There is a huge shift in the family to a place of peacefulness and love that they said they haven't felt in a long time." And they put the blanket over the little girl, and she had her Reiki blanket.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's so beautiful. That brings up a good point. I don't know if people realize, people who are not conversant in energy, if you have a sick child or you are caretaking for someone and their illness is causing you distress, they are feeling your distressed energy, which is not helping them when they are struggling and needing support of all kinds, including and possibly especially energetic support.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So yeah, for the whole family to be feeling the benefits of that is tremendous.
It's an unbelievable blessing, and it just gives you that idea that we can, as humans, be a human being in the state of all the really low energy humanness, right? We can
Yeah,
become our beingness as well, but we need sometimes a little assistance,
yeah,
and I believe Reiki really does that, and every there's parts of the world, all over the world, there's different ways they use energy. I've been trained in so many different things, and Reiki's, it's not that Reiki's just one of them. I think they're all technically all coming from the same source. That's my thoughts, but it's how we train others to understand it, right? How we
yeah,
train,
yeah.
or not train, but how we share for them to understand it. And once they do understand it, and now it's more open than ever, right? That's the conversations everywhere. Everything is energy, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've shared a couple bits of feedback. What are some other things that either the recipient of the blanket or the family or the giver have reported back to you after sending these out?
Yeah, I mean, I'll get an email or text or calls from people that I literally don't know that they have received a blanket or they gave out a blanket to someone, and just really the reason our tagline is comfort, warmth, and love is because those are always in everything that everyone's always saying. They're feeling some form of comfort, some form of warmth, but a different warmth than just a blanket, like a loving and hugging warmth. And
Yeah,
of course, they feel really connected to the person, that either the person that's giving the blanket feels a better connection to the person that's going through the illness, because now it's like a game. If they're handing them the gift, they're handing them a gift that they can use, right? You leave flowers behind, it's beautiful, it's lovely, but it's not going to be usable for a very long period of time. But when you walk in, the same way I handed it to my cousin Ruth, and they're handing these blankets, or they're delivered, and there's a note from the person that they care about. It's really a giving. It's a giving back and a giving a connection. So I believe that BeamOn connects people all over the world, and it's just growing and growing and growing.
yeah. That's so beautiful. So you mentioned volunteers, and you mentioned that it's now a group of people. It sounds like you do the attuning, but there's staff or a
So
group. Can you talk a little bit about?
yes, we're all volunteers, including myself, and we have a group of so we have our board members supporting it, and we have a group of volunteers, and some of the board members are volunteers like myself to run it. Over the last few years, it became when the blankets come in and need to go out, I do the attunement instead of gathering everybody, because it got a little harder to get people to come over because everything's sort of done in my space. So
Yeah,
I lay it out, the dog's there, the good energy. I do a whole thing, and then I attune the blankets, and I keep them like actually right behind me in my office, and they're ready to be shipped out at any given time. So an email comes in, and I usually say within 24 to 48 hours, I get it over to Canada Post and they get delivered. And sometimes at the gala, if we get like a new shipment of blankets, there's a few Reiki masters. Let's say, come on, like as we're setting up in the morning before the big gala, come on, we're going to attune, and they follow along my attunement, and it's really great. So the attunement is here, and it's here. And there's a special way we have that we roll the blankets, which we created from the very beginning. We had for many, many years up until pandemic time, we had a youth leadership program, and they used to come over, and everybody learned how to roll the blankets, and the students were part of the building of the business. And that is something I will look into again. I've had co-op students helping. So I'm trying to involve people, because students, they want to learn business, they want to learn about charity, they want to learn about everything. And I have that background, so I can share that with them. And then, of course, all our different, very diverse volunteers and board of directors. Some are business people, some have Reiki masters, are Reiki masters, but they're all something diverse about them, and it brings new people to our events. We did a walk. I do walk for BeamOn. We did the was it the third annual walk? We had people come and we just go because I'm a nature lover. So we go and we walk and we raise a little bit of funds that way. So everything, and I just did a retreat like on my own with a colleague, but I did a part of it was a donation towards BeamOn. So any way I can help to build it, I'm building it, and same with everybody that's part of the organization.
That's great. So I want to go back to the attunement. So it sounds like you receive them with the branded BeamOn and you have a large quantity. You attune them individually or en masse, or how do you do it?
I do it in mass, but I don't do it like we have to order 200 at a time. So I keep some put away, and then I bring out, let's say, 25 to 50 at a time, and I spread them all out, and I literally walk to each one and take the time in attuning each one, but it's the same attunement. Yeah. And it just comes through me and it flows, and I, get myself in the right headspace, and it feels great. And honestly, it's the craziest thing, but I'll feel the difference. So then after, when I'm, let's say, packaging them, I talk to them because they're now, to me, they're alive. There's a life force in them.
Yes.
And so I will package them package them like properly so that they're able to just breathe and be ready for the person that's receiving.
I love this so much. I love the whole idea. I love that you're doing it. I love that it's a community effort. I love hearing different ways that people are applying Reiki, in ways that, that hadn't occurred to me. I've not seen that before. I didn't know anyone was doing that. And so I love this as an inspiration. It reminds me of a book I got. I believe the author's name was David Pearl, and he does energy work. When I was back learning about energy work, and I ordered his book, and I'm in my condo, and I got this very strong feeling I need to go check the mail. Got to go check the mail. Something important about the mail. And I get down there and there's a package and I open it up and I'm just really feeling this. And I start reading, and the first pages say, I charged all of these books up with energy. You can maybe feel it. And I remember thinking, I did feel it. And it was very beginning of my journey. So it blew me away that I felt it and I felt called to it. And then he right there in the first couple of pages said, you can probably feel this. And I did feel it. And your work is reminding me of this, because even all this time I've been doing Reiki, it has not occurred to me to Reiki things and send them out. And I love that you're doing that and hopefully inspiring so many people who are watching right now, to maybe start their projects of whatever kind with whatever population.
Exactly.
It's so great.
Yeah. And actually, I don't know if you can see my, my logo, which, on my, right here on my heart chakra. Can you see it? It's like,
pretty, there it can, when you tilt forward. Yeah.
So that's attuned to Reiki. So I have them branded on most of my clothing. So everywhere I go, people are getting the good energy wherever I go. I started a clothing line many, many years ago. I was with bamboo clothing before anybody was doing any of this stuff.
Love bamboo.
Yeah, I was selling them off the shelf. Like, it was crazy. I had t-shirts. I had my wardrobe, t-shirts, hoodie, and socks, and I was just selling it off. And we did bandanas. So that was, and that's something I'm going to look into. I would like to connect with a clothing line and create something really dynamic again and put it out there, because it's brilliant, right? It feels good. I teach even my students to put when we're doing second or third level, do the Reiki in the water, do your Reiki over your meals, anywhere, right? So you've probably done that as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the idea of this commercial putting out of items, I just love it. I love it.
Well, that's great. Yeah.
So what are your plans for the future for the BeamOn project?
So to build it and to eventually maybe even do satellite with one of my big visions in the beginning was when we have the gala, we satellite it to other parts of the world where the same night, people, because we can do that now, right?
Right.
And also have some other areas in whether it's the United States or Europe, where they actually have the blankets. Like I'd attune them here, ship them out, and then, maybe someone like yourself, you'd be giving out the blankets out there, right? So we're building the project in a huge, huge way. because it can be. I mean, obviously we need funding for that, but it's to get more blankets in. But you know what? All that comes together. That all comes together. So that's one area for BeamOn, and of course keeping everybody locally, involved. And then yeah, and for myself to start doing some virtual events and start getting out there again, doing some more on-site events, teaching more. Well, I've been teaching, but building out into the teaching world again. So it's really exciting. Lots of exciting things. And doggies. I want to go and knock on my neighbors' doors and tell them, the ones that don't know me, and say, I offer Reiki for dogs, right? Okay, the best is, have you ever done Reiki on, you said, yeah, I think you said you have bunnies, right?
I do. I have two rabbits, and they love Reiki.
Yeah.
They're so receptive to it.
It's amazing, right? So if I've ever done Reiki, and I've done Reiki on many dogs, and the minute you're working on them, when they're done, they get up and they're done. Not like humans, like, did I feel it? Can I be better? It's like there's no question about it. They just get up and they're feeling good, right?
Yeah. Well, one of the things with rabbits, since you brought it up, and I love talking about my rabbits.
I love rabbits too.
They're prey animals, so they're terrified of most everything, and it takes a long time to develop trust where you could even go and pet them.
Right.
It's very unusual that you would pick up a rabbit and snuggle it. You mostly can pet it. They like to keep their feet on the ground. They're afraid all the time.
Right.
But I pet them, and they get to know, they know me better now, and they purr a little bit. But then I'll stop petting them and I'll offer them Reiki, and they do what's called a flop, which is kind of like when a dog will flip over and show you its belly. It's just extreme vulnerability and safety and comfort. Like, I totally trust you. So petting, they'll purr. I stop petting and I give Reiki and they flop.
I love that.
They can sense the difference. They love the Reiki, and it's visible. This is your rabbit getting pet. This is your rabbit on Reiki.
I love that. You got to do a little video of that.
I keep meaning to, but I'm always just, I'm in the present moment giving them their snuggles. So
yeah, of course. I get that too. No, that's great.
So what is this partnership initiative program?
So I kind of touched a little bit on that. We have organizations and some companies that work with cancer patients. So I'll deliver at times a dozen Reiki blankets, and they have it on site. And so it is an agreement we have with them that they hand out the blanket as we've created it, and don't take away the integrity of the blanket, like by unraveling it or anything like that. And when they have someone that comes in that has cancer, they donate the blanket. So we donate to them, and they donate the blanket. So, for example, there's a wonderful organization, two women that are breast cancer survivors started a retreat, and they do it, I think, 2 or 3 times a year for 14 women. And when they come to their retreat, there's a BeamOn Reiki blanket on their bed waiting for them. Right?
Nice.
So we donate. We raise funds to do this. It's not just individual donations. So that's one. I have a few local, there's a hospice that has our blankets. And with the hospice, they can give them to everybody. It's a different sort of environment. We have at the local hospital, we have.
So could you hold the thing up again? The blanket up again? You said you have like the wrapping on the front there. So if I walk into one of these places and I receive one of these blankets, is that card describe what Reiki is? Like, how do they know what they're getting?
So yes, so the card has I'll pull it out. So the card has an overview of BeamOn and an overview of BeamOn, how it started, and that the Reiki is attuned into the blanket. And then the front where they're receiving it, it has their name and a little blurb, and then about the project, but also about that it's attuned to Reiki, and of course how they can reach us if they want to find out more. Right?
Okay, so there's a way to circle back to get more information.
Absolutely. It has our website. It has our charity number. We have to have that visible on everything. We do have a website. The website is projectbeamon.org. I've set it up. It's so simple. You go to the website. You can do a blanket request. You fill out the information of who you are and who it's going to. I get an email, boom, right? And there is an offer. If there's an option if someone wants to donate, which is great. We have
So
about
anyone who's watching right now who has a loved one in cancer care can fill out this form and request one of these BeamOn blankets.
anywhere.
That's great.
We'd love to hear
Great.
from everybody because the more we get them out, the more we know comfort, love, and warmth is going out to that loved one.
I have someone in mind right now. I think I'm gonna, at the end of this interview, fill out a form for
Great.
one of my dear friends.
Excellent.
That's great.
So the the sad thing is that we know so many people, but the blessing is that we have this project to offer the BeamOn Reiki blankets.
Yeah. I so appreciate the work you're doing. I know everyone watching so appreciates the work you're doing. Is there anything that you want to share with us that we have not touched on thus far?
I think we're pretty.
You've done a great job of explaining.
Have I? I think we're pretty good. We've covered a lot, and I think this is great. And I absolutely want to say I so appreciate your energy and that all the things that you're doing, and the connection of being together to be able to do this virtually, where you're in Chicago and I'm here in Richmond Hill, Ontario, in Canada, and we get to talk about things that we love and how we care about people and how we share the work that we do, but also who we are as people walking the streets, right? So
yeah, Reiki speaks to a wide variety of people in all places, and it's so wonderful that the summit can bring us together, and that we can share this with everyone who's viewing.
Yes, thank you so much.
You very generously have offered up to our summit viewers a PDF copy of your first book entitled How My Obsession with Illness Became My Passion for Health and Wellness, which came out in 2005. Do you have a copy there?
I have yes. So this was the original copy, the original book. This is, if you can see that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and this is the new cover. So when it comes as a PDF, it will come looking like this. So I have it in PDF form, and I can send that out by email because there will
be I think we'll have a link to it right beneath.
We'll have a link. Yes.
If you provided, one to us, we'll have that right below the screen so people can click on that and get a copy of that book. Thank you so much for that. And the second item that you're offering up, viewers can book a 10-minute energy call for themselves or for their pets. And you emphasize dog, and I asked if you would expand that out to include cats and rabbits, etc. You very graciously said that you would. Yes. And you are available to be contacted via WhatsApp or email. And again, that contact info will be below the video here, to set up a day and a time for the 10-minute Reiki or 10-minute energy call. Thank you so much. Do you want to talk a little bit more about what that is?
Yeah, very simple. That and also on my website, I'm going to have it'll be also on the information how to find my website. And people will set up a call and we'll just be at whatever works for them, and we'll do some energy work and we'll do some Reiki, and that would be great. And the other thing is, when this is going to be aired, there's going to be some other events coming up. So like virtual events, they might be able to want to participate in that as well. I'm working on some new ideas, percolating.
Yes, excellent. So contact information will be listed, and everybody reach out to Rose and get the copy of her book. Take advantage of the 10-minute session. Thank her for the hard work that she does, putting these Reiki blankets out into the world. Rose, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you, Heather. My pleasure, and the pleasure being with you. Thank you so much.